Just another day in Britannia. Oh! Blood on my sandals. Now, have you ever wanted to, maybe command a nice group of Roman soldiers and take over a Breton village, subjugate its people, possibly enslave them, or, just make them your citizens? Well, now you can do that. And we're going to do it right now in Warlord Britannia. Now, this is a very fascinating game, guys, and I think looks may be deceiving at first because, let's be honest, the aesthetic, a little Minecrafty here, not exactly the greatest, but let me tell you, the actual depth to this game is pretty incredible, and actually, I think there's a lot more here than meets the eye. Now, the goal in this game, you're actually sent out by the Emperor Claudius himself. Now, the Emperor's goal to you is straightforward. You are actually a senator, actually a consul of the Senate of Rome, and he wants you to go into an unknown area of Britannia, subjugate the people, colonize the area, all in his name, of course. As you can see, we've actually taken this small village right here, but that's one large part of the game. The name of the game is to capture as many villages as possible. We do have just part of a very massive map here, so you can see that this game doesn't shy away from a lot of things to do. As you can see, we currently only have 2 villages under our control. Each of them has an unrest rating, and over time, of course, we are going to be taxing these villages, things of that nature, but they can actually revolt against us. So we want to make sure to pass by every now and again and just remind them exactly who's in control here. And this is where the game really starts to shine. I mean, when the rain is falling from the skies, Saturn is pissing on us all over the place, and at the same time, the men are ready for combat. The camp is being built and, of course, being managed. It's just perfect. And now, of course, we need to take our existing men. I think we've got about 11 of them, and head towards another Breton village. Who knows? Maybe we'll be granted with another victory, or maybe we'll be slaughtered to a man and never be able to return to this place again. Now, once you actually get to the battle stage, you can set it up however you want. I'm actually going to set the march here, or set the battle and go for a charge. These guys are already coming out to face us, and this is kind of like how I like to do things. Obviously, you guys know that I love to attack en masse, but more importantly, in this situation, I like the villagers to come out, start streaming out of the village, and that's the best time for the men to come in and just look at that. They've got them surrounded. We can, of course, come in and help a little bit as well, but yet another village subjugated by our Roman forces, and we're going to do essentially the same thing here. We could get another camp set up here, or we could simply raise this place, go back to our existing camp, and actually hire even more troops. And in fact, I think that's what we're going to do with this place. I mean, after all, we have to show these Celts that we mean, or excuse me, these Bretons. Oh, who gives a damn what they are? They're barbarians are barbarians. So we need to show them we mean business. And this is going to be a good opportunity to do that. So here we go. It's just a good old way station of Invermore. As for the buildings, we are going to... You know what? I'm going to be... Those dead barbarians have appeased my wrath. That's what it is. And I'm actually just going to enslave half of the population. I'm so generous. And as for taxation, we're just going to demand half. I mean, are we not, lenient? I think so. And look at that. I'm sure our men agree. Do you agree? Do you agree? I think they agree too. Now, look, I'm going to be the first to say that the game's aesthetic, it's not great. You can, however, go over here and really go crank up the quality. In fact, we're going to throw it on Ultra, and you could see that, the actual lighting and all that is really well done. It's definitely cel-shaded. You can even see the cells. But I like cel-shaded stuff, and I kind of like this look. I'm not crazy about the lack of faces and sort of the fused together legs, but it's a small price to pay for just a very, very large amount of content. For instance, there's a lot of depth here to actually just the settlements themselves, and obviously the way that you manage them. You're obviously going to tax these settlements. You want the unrest to be low, but you also want to have some nobility in some of these areas to be able to, of course, get, some nice taxes in, to get some money in. You're, after all, going to have to pay your workers, your guards, and, of course, your regular legionaries or soldiers here. I like to call them legionaries. But if you get closer, you'll see that not all of these settlements are equal. Now, we're only seeing a very edge of the map, essentially what our ship could see from the coast here. And you can see that some settlements are villages, some are way stations, that's a bit smaller than a village, and some are hamlets, even smaller, and even more are kind of like what we just took right now. Basically, a farm and a way station. There's not much here, and to really have any control, we're going to have to take some larger areas. Now, there's all sorts of things occurring on the map as time goes on. So, for instance, we know there's a VIP convoy here, 12 gold, that's 12 fancy new soldiers, and this also extends to your actual legion centuries. Now, to be able to get additional centuries and, of course, grow your massive legion, you need to fill out the first one entirely before that happens, so you need to have enough troops to, of course, expand that century. Over time, in your camp, you can also upgrade your soldiers, which I think is just a really nice addition here. My goal now is actually to make it back to the coast, and make it back to the coast alive so that I can upgrade these soldiers and, of course, purchase new ones. But so far, I mean, that aspect of the game, the management, the warfare, the incredible weather and lighting dynamics, just the way things look, I feel really drawn to the game. I want to play more and sort of find out what happens next and what else I can conquer. And I think that that's a huge bonus for a game like this. Another aspect of the game that's pretty cool is just the commanding workers aspect. So, of course, as you're building up your camp, you're going to need resources. And one of the most important resources, of course, is going to be wood and lumber. So you can actually use this little harvesting resource and order your workers to come out here, chop that wood, and of course they will bring it back on their own. Now, something I love as well is each of your legionaries, as you can see here, Tiberius Pettius, they're going to have sort of their own job, their own title, etc. And it's just a really nice addition to the game. I actually want to grab that one too, but you got to get quite close to use this harvesting tool. So let's just run up to the tree here, and there we go. Beautiful. Target that tree. Now we're going to get back to camp, and I'm going to hire some additional troops. But of course, you get really drawn to these places in the game, and I think that's a great sign. You know, this village now, despite really not being much of a village, it's essentially just a farming hamlet, but it really means a lot to me. And of course, this camp now sort of bears its own importance. I'm actually going to go over here to the manage screen, and I'm tempted to go ahead and maybe get some additional workers. We do have a couple out there, but maybe we could get a few more legionaries and turn them into workers given time. Now, that's going to give us the 16. And another thing about the game, as a way of sort of teaching you sort of the basics of the game itself, you will often get some quests, pretty straightforward quests, like, for instance, go over here, recruit these men, etc., etc. So we've accomplished that, and I think pretty soon here, yeah, we'll have enough to fill up an entire century, at which point we can start the second one. Now, once we get the officer's tent up, that's actually the reason I sent the guys out there to cut wood, we're going to get an officer, and yeah, that's right, you don't just need standard legionaries, but you can bring in officers to lead them. And we've got us an uprising. As you can see, folks, occasionally Thief Barbarians get a little bit upset with Roman rule. And if you don't set up a good enough defense, well, you could be next on their plate. And ultimately, get your head cut off and maybe sent back to old Uncle Claudius. Unfortunately. That being said, this is just a nice look at this particular game. I am absolutely fascinated by it. Really, really enjoying it. And I would recommend it, especially to anybody that likes, of course, anything Roman-themed, but in particular sort of likes these sort of, I classify it as very similar to Mountain Blade, where you're going around trying to conquer different areas, and of course subjugate them to your rule. Of course, if you're a mean old man like myself, you go around enslaving people and wiping out entire villages, well, your camp too could be overrun, and you could be getting chased down the beach by very angry barbarians. In any case, don't let it happen to you. But in terms of a game review, I'm going to give this one 5 stuffed dormice out of 5, which in Roman times is a damn good review. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to check the game out. You can take a look at it on Steam, and pray to Jupiter for me, because I'm going to need to Probably find some sort of animal, cut it open, hide inside of its carcass. I mean, that's the only way I can envision getting away from these angry folks here. Wish me luck.